You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
On this segment, we are going to talk about what happens if Kyle McCord does come back, but more specifically, the quarterback outlook. Because look, let's be honest. If Kyle McCord comes back, I'm going to have to do a ton of podcasts about what happens with everything regarding the team. We don't have to talk about the team. We're just talking about the quarterbacks here, okay? Let's say he comes back. He gets the other year of eligibility. He forgoes the NFL draft and says, I want another year with Syracuse football. Hip, hip, hooray. We are all excited. Here's what I think could happen. Well, first off, Kyle McCord is unquestionably the starting quarterback for next year. Unquestioned, no doubt, slam dunk, put it in the bank. Now, I imagine that the Orange have had conversations with all their quarterbacks, but maybe more specifically, the guy that just committed to your program and Rickie Collins. In the scenario McCord comes back, Rickie Collins will enter the 2026 season with 2 years of eligibility and a legitimate chance to earn a starting spot. Okay? The interesting question is now what happens with the following three players. You got Jakari Williams, Luke Carney, and Rich Bellin. Jakari Williams is a 2024 three-star commit that just redshirted. You also got Carney and Bellin, who are each three-star commits in 2025. We've talked about Carney a ton on this podcast. I love his upside. From a Locked On recruiting expert, Brian Smith, he even said that if he had went to a different school, he could have been a five-star quarterback prospect. This is a really, really good player in Luke Carney. I think because the quarterback room in 2026 would be pretty crowded, it would be. It's likely that someone is going to transfer out, and if I had to guess, I would say that would be Jakari Williams. The reason why I would say Jakari Williams is because while he did sign with Fran Brown, I have made this point before that Jakari Williams was really a Dino Babers commit. So whatever Dino Babers told him could be completely different to what Fran Brown has told him. I'm not saying that the current coaching staff doesn't like Jakari Williams. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just pointing out the fact that unlike Luke Carney, unlike Rich Bellin, and you can even throw in Rickie Collins, who are legitimate Fran Brown commits, Jakari Williams committed before Fran Brown got there. He did ultimately sign in the 2024 class, which was Fran Brown's first technical class. But he committed when Dino Babers was there. So he would, in my opinion, he would be a transfer out candidate. And it would really have to come down to what happens with the backup job this season. Because you got right now, if Kyle McCord comes back, a four-way battle for the backup job. You can also throw in Michael Johnson Jr., but I don't think he's got any sort of chance of playing at quarterback next year. That's just my opinion. But you would have Rickie Collins, Jakari Williams, Luke Carney, and Rich Bellin, potentially for the backup. I believe that Collins and Williams would go in with the upper hand just because they got experience. But Fran Brown has shown us he is not afraid to play true freshmen. He is going to play the best player. He's going to award the higher spot on the depth chart to who he believes is the best player. He does not care about a player's year. Exhibit A, defensive tackle Murad Watson, true freshman. Exhibit B, when healthy, it was Marcellus Barnes at corner, a true freshman, now in the transfer portal. So Fran Brown's not afraid to play a true freshman. So that means that I believe that Luke Carney and Rich Bellin will also have a legitimate shot to earn the backup job behind Kyle McCord. And whoever wins that backup job, because all of those players are relatively young, I think that would signal who's going to be the starter in 2026. That is what happens if Kyle McCord comes back. Basically, it's likely that one or two of those four guys are going to transfer out. And it's likely that whoever earns the backup job will be the starter in 2026. Of course, I'm talking about Rickie Collins, the LSU transfer from recently, Jakari Williams, who's going to be a redshirt freshman, and true freshmen Luke Carney and Rich Bellin. It's a crowded quarterback room as it is right now. If you add in Kyle McCord, the backup job becomes very critical to determining who's going to be the quarterback in 2026. So overall, I hope that Kyle McCord comes back. It would be terrific. Getting Rickie Collins in the transfer portal does not eliminate the dream. In fact, it was the only one that actually made sense because Rickie Collins is going to compete for either the starting job or the backup job, unlike the other three players that Syracuse was connected to in the portal.